Welcome to Financial Issues, where we help you steward faithfully by honoring God with your investments. Now listen in as we give you the practical tools and advice you need to become a biblically responsible investor.
This is Financial Issues, where we help you defund darkness and fund the light by investing with biblical integrity. Folks, it's great to be here with you this morning. Seth Udinsky, Sam Case, and your host, Mark Manila. Mark, good morning to you, brother.
Good morning, and good morning, all Financial Issue fans and partners.
Great to be here today. Folks, listen, the phone lines are wide open. We want to talk to you. Give us a call, 610-363-1110. We got a lot to talk about today, guys. Let's jump right into it. More people have been taking hardship withdrawals early on their retirement. We'll get to that possibly later on, as well as your calls and questions. But Mark and Sam, first and foremost, probably a good time as ever to look at oil prices and see what Trump has said about these. They came down pretty significantly yesterday. Looks like they were a little bit ticking up in the pre-markets this morning. Sam, what can you tell us here? What's going on?
Well, first of all, it's pronounced oil.
Sorry,
oil.
Yeah, that's
oil. Right. Yes. Those prices reached nearly $120 a barrel yesterday before, you're right, falling down to, I believe, below $90 when Trump said the war in Iran is running, quote, ahead of schedule and is, in fact, coming close to an end. On Sunday, Trump also assured that oil prices would fall once the war is finally over, calling the price hike in oil prices a very small price to pay for peace. Iran, during these attacks, has been attacking regional oil facilities, while Israel, for its part, has struck Iranian targets. Iran has also renewed its threats against ships in the Strait of Hormuz. Last week, President Trump said the U.S. would insure oil tankers near Iran and suggested the Navy could help protect those ships in the Strait. Meanwhile, the G7 is meeting today. Its energy minister meeting today to discuss releasing oil reserves. The U.S. supports a joint release of 300 to 400 million barrels of oil. So, Mark, a couple questions here. One of them is, what is the biggest impact that the war is having on oil? I know there's so much going on, but what is the single factor that's having the most impact on oil prices? Is it the Strait of Hormuz? Is it the strikes on these oil facilities? What is it?
It probably could be a little bit of all that, but mostly it's insurance. Lloyd's London, they stopped insuring tankers going through the strait, which then took from hundreds of tankers, I think it was 100 some tankers a day going through, down to 10. So that reduced the availability of oil at that point. However, Trump did an incredible move. He said, okay, Lloyd's of London, you're only hundreds of years old and always been there, but if you're not going to do it, we'll just have the Treasury do the insurance on this. Immediately, Lloyd's of London said, wait a minute, no, we don't want to lose all our customers and everything. We'll be with you. We'll start insuring them again. And
we
as soon as that happened,
lunch.
Exactly. Yeah. And as soon as that happened, the oil dropped $28 a barrel. As soon as Lloyd's of London said, no, we're gonna start underwriting it again. We'll let all the insurers know that we're their secondary insurance on it again. We'll partner with you, U.S. That's what they said. So I think that was the biggest thing that did it. The idea that they're bombing Iranian storage facilities that Israel did, that might have an impact on it. But remember, oil is globally priced. We could have all the oil in the world coming from the U.S., but it would still be at the same price the rest of the world is buying it at or has run the price up to. So when we see shortages in certain areas, like China now has a shortage in oil coming into them because they don't have Iran selling them $22 a barrel oil anymore. There's just different areas where it's hit, and all the craziness and the pricing comes down globally to the same price. So that's what's really happened. So even in the U.S., even though we have massive amounts of oil, it still is priced at the global price. And we'll see that for a while. And Trump's absolutely right. Our dear president is absolutely right. It's going to get a little expensive for a little while. If the war gets over soon or some sort of, government regulation or something that says the U.S. can price internally different than the global world, or somehow it will be a little expensive. But I don't know about you, Sam, and I don't know about you, Seth, but I'm willing to pay a little more for my gas to get rid of the threat of my kid's school being shot up, or the president being shot, or terrorists taken to the streets in America like they have for the last, 40 years. How about you?
Mark, I'm with you. And we have to remember, folks, please, okay, put your listening ears on for just a second. In June of 2022, under the height of the Biden administration, gas prices were right around, $5 a gallon nationwide. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. What we're seeing right now is high for the Trump years, but it is not high compared to what we've seen before. And so, Mark, I'm with you. Yeah, if we need to pay a little extra at the pump for that, so be it.
Again, as Trump said, he said it's a very small price to pay for the USA, the world, for safety and peace. Only fools would think differently.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yesterday, we had a story about addiction to social media. I don't know if anybody remembers yesterday. That's a long time ago. But we talked about how maybe the addiction thing, we're using addiction, the word addiction, it's lost its meaning from being a physical, withdrawal, like a heroin thing or an alcoholic where they have the EBGBs and they hallucinate and they actually can have physical damage from leaving this product that they've been using for so long to I really like that, so I guess I'm addicted to it. That's totally different. Well, I think there's something about the pricing. I hear people complaining about mortgage rates. I'm an old man. I get it. But for most of my life, mortgage rates were around, my first half of my life, mortgage rates were in the 8% range. And they got all the way up during the Carter years to like 19%. And that somebody's complaining about a 6% mortgage rate just blows my mind, right? Because historically, it's only been the last 10 years or so, or 20 years, that we've seen rates like this. So it's not the norm to have interest rates on mortgages be 3%. Though you grew up in that, that's not the norm. And though you might really like to play that game on Xbox, that's not an addiction. That's a lack of discipline. Grow up. Sorry.
Love it, Mark. That's awesome. Now, Mark, here's a question for you. Should we, as Americans who are pleased with what Trump has been doing, should we just step aside the fact that he did run on a campaign to promise to lower gas prices, and he did from the Biden years, by the way? Should we be satisfied with the fact that they're a little bit higher right now?
No.
Are we okay with this?
No, absolutely not.
Yep.
Absolutely not. We should we should set the bar way high for our government and for our economy. We are the leading economy of the world. We have the best technology. We have as a country, we're very, very rich and yet very, very foolish. If we stop the fraud, if we built into our laws ways to keep the fraud and the waste from happening instead of building in all these little ways to take advantage of the government, we would be our taxes would be cut in half. And we still have a balanced budget. We need to expect super incredible stuff from our government, and we need to expect the same thing from the patriots of this country, the citizens. We need to step up, do the right thing. It's just a waste of God's money and God's time the way we let this government go down the tubes for the last 40 years or 60 years or 100 years, however you want to look at it. And, I know I was being a little flippant with the price of gas going up. You know who this hurts the most? It hurts those, the ones who have middle class and lower middle class incomes. That's who it really hurts. I remember scraping to get $1 up to get gas at one time when I was a young man, to get enough gas that I could go to work. That was during the Carter years, but it was a mess.
Yeah.
But
had to wait in the lines when it was your day to get gas. Yeah,
exactly. It just was crazy. We don't need that, and we shouldn't have that. We should have a country that does so much better than that. I just think that we settle way too much. We need to hold our Congress accountable. Have you ever heard me say that before? I don't know if you have, but Congress is
Mark,
the issue.
you know, I can't say I've ever heard you say that before.
Yeah. Let me say it again. We need to hold our Congress accountable. Yeah. Those people that are in that are faking it, that are taking advantage, it doesn't seem like we can throw them in jail. It doesn't seem like we can get anything to stick when they're congressmen, when they're House and Senate. But we can kick them out and get people in who are real, who are godly, who are intelligent to run our nation. It's up to you and I to do that. Just like it's up to you and I to have a great show. So call in 610-363-1110. That's 610-363-1110. I'd like to hear what you have to say about this. So we'll be right back after this very, very short break.
Here at Financial Issues, we believe in being faithful stewards of everything God has entrusted to us, and nothing is more important than investing in the next generation. The most meaningful way we can do that is by sharing the hope of salvation with young people, giving them a foundation of truth that can shape the rest of their lives. Crossroads Kids Club is an after-school program that brings the gospel directly to elementary school children in public schools across the country. Week after week, volunteers have the opportunity to build consistent, Christ-centered relationships with kids during some of their most formative years. These aren't just programs, they're life-changing encounters that point children to Jesus and surround them with encouragement, mentorship, and biblical truth. Together, we can make a lasting difference for the kingdom. We can help reach children who may never otherwise hear the good news. If you feel called to be part of sharing the gospel with kids in public schools, visit reachOurschools.com. Again, that's reachOurschools.com.
Investing is about so much more than money. It's a way we can provide a better future for our loved ones and make a greater impact for the things that matter most to us. Good stewardship is investing in things that last for eternity and not things that go against biblical values. For over 25 years, Financial Issues has provided partners with the tools they need to build a portfolio that honors God and blesses others. Become a partner with Financial Issues today to see how you can steward your resources in a God-honoring way.
Did you know that an unborn baby's heart beats at an average of 120 times every minute? That steady rhythm, that precious sound, that's the sound of life. Preborn partners with local pregnancy clinics across the nation to help mothers choose life, providing free ultrasounds, counseling, and the gospel of Jesus Christ. To give, just dial pound 250 and say the keyword baby. That's pound 250 baby. Baby.
Hey folks, listen, we got a great new commentary out. I'd really encourage you to read it, partners. Also, 2 new buys for your consideration, TE27 and TE1. If you are not
TE1,
a partner,
that sounds like it's ancient, like it's
that's exactly like the first ever TE, first ever tech.
Yeah.
Listen, you might be listening to the show today and you're not a partner, and that's actually purposeful. There, we have partner specific information that we really value for our partners. But listen, you can become one today, right now, by going to financialissues.org and click that Become a Partner button. And then you can read that commentary. You can listen to last week's conference call, check out those buys, as well as the entire very robust buy list that we have right now, the asset allocation models. Check it out today, folks, financialissues.org. Be a good thing for you to do.
Might we tantalize you with some new buys?
There you go.
Yes.
That's exactly right. Well, guys, let's switch gears for just a moment here and talk about this retirement fund withdrawal story. I find this fascinating, and I'd be curious to know if our chat or anyone in our audience, if you want to call in and share your thoughts, 610-363-1110, if you've ever been in a situation where you felt the need to withdraw early from your retirement. But Sam, give us the details here. What's going on?
This is based on data from Vanguard Group reporting that 6% of its participants in its 401k plans had hardship withdrawals in 2025. That's up from 4.8% in 2024, with the median withdrawal size being just under $2,000. That's also well above pre-pandemic levels of about 2%. 2%. Although it should be noted that this isn't necessarily just because of economic hardship conditions that we're seeing more withdrawals. It's also because Congress changed the rules back in 2018, making it easier for people to make these withdrawals. So that could also be playing into why we're seeing more of them over time, as it should be noted that the use of 401k loans, which is an alternative to the withdrawals, those have remained flat and actually below pandemic levels as of right now. So, Mark, a couple questions about this. A little less concerned about the data we're seeing here, but I do have questions about the overall topic of withdrawals. What advice would you give someone who's considering making an emergency withdrawal from their 401k? What are some of the things they should be thinking about?
Well, just because it's an emergency withdrawal doesn't mean that it avoids the 10% penalty if you're under 59 and a half. So you have to be considering that. So you're going to be taxed and then a 10% penalty on top of that. In most cases, there might be some cases, but there's very few where you can take a withdrawal from a 401k before 59 and a half, even with the emergency financial bit that's written into the law. So you got to be careful. Remember, it's still going to be taxed and it might be penalized. So that's the one thing that I would really want people to remember when they go for that. And I'm surprised that the emergency withdrawals went up. Maybe that's because there's a large portion of Americans that are over 59 and a half and they're saying, well, I'm just going to be taxed on it. It doesn't matter. I'm going to be taxed on it eventually anyway. So why not make this use this law as part of my financial planning? If I have credit card debt, it's better to pay down the credit card debt by taking a withdrawal, even though I'm still working, but I'm over 59 and a half and not going to get penalized. I could see how that all works into people utilizing this more strategically than ever before. But I wouldn't forget about the loan provisions that are in many of the 401ks. Some people don't like the idea of this going into debt. Even if it's debt to themselves, effectively it's taken out of one pocket and put it in another and then paying it back to the other pocket. So it's not a bad idea, really. It also avoids, if you're under 59 and a half, it avoids that 10% penalty. So that might be a better way to utilize it, especially if what's happened is after COVID, after everything, you've been fighting to get those credit card bills paid down or something, or you need to get the furnace fixed or the air conditioner replaced or something. It might be better to borrow from yourself, become your own bank, than to just take the money out and lose all the future growth on that money and pay penalties and stuff on it. So you might want to consider the idea of a loan from the 401k if your plan has that built into it.
So, Mark, would you say that maybe the first consideration should be the loan and then the withdrawal, or are they kind of equal and it just depends on what you want to do?
Mark and Sam, could I jump in here for just a second and say, I would guess the first consideration would be the moat around your castle.
Well, yes.
After that, though, if there's an emergency that exceeds that, I would tend to think, Sam, what you're thinking, probably the 401k withdrawal as opposed to, the 401k loan, as opposed to the full withdrawal where you take the hit. But Mark, what do you think?
Well, it depends on your age. I think you're right, Seth, with the idea that, you need to get back to the basics. Why don't you have that moat around your castle?
Right.
Well, there's a lot of circumstances that cause that. Medical, loss of job, all sorts of things could have gone on, that caused you to drain the swamp. And there weren't... A lot of people, when they set up their emergency fund, they don't set up a way to replenish it automatically, systematically. That's something that I really need people to understand. When you set up a moat around your castle, it's multiple parts. One of it is for those large emergency, loss of job, medical, just catastrophic situation. The other is for those unexpected expenses or less than monthly expenses is another way, like Christmas, car repairs, replacing the refrigerator, that kind of stuff. You should kind of get a feel for that, know how much annually that's going to approximately cost you and be feeding that into the moat like a spring.
I've become well acquainted with the car repair costs. Very well acquainted.
Yeah, we know. Yeah. So anyway, get back to basics and get that done. But sometimes it's still tsunami of expenses comes in, wipes out your emergency fund, and you need money. Well, if you're over 59 and a half, you have two choices. If with that, and do I like the loan? Sure, but if you're living off your 401k to begin with, along with your Social Security or whatever, you may not want to take a loan and reduce your monthly revenues. It might be just as well to go ahead and take that out of there and take a withdrawal from it. And even if you're still working, I would think that that's a choice you have to make. You need to know whether you're going to be living off this for the next 30 years, or if this is just a supplement to other things, that kind of thing. So you just take a look at it, do a little math, and come up with I can either borrow or I can do it. I can afford my lifestyle to go down by $75 a month to pay this back over the next couple of years. Okay, no problem. And it's paying it back to myself, so it's no big deal. It's coming out of the left-hand pocket, going in the right-hand pocket. This is not a big deal. Or, you know what, I don't want this to happen. I'm just going to take the $2,000 and get that refrigerator repaired, or the air conditioner repaired, or the car repaired, or whatever, and move on, so that I don't have all this anxiety in my mind after the anxiety I went through that drained my swamp, that drained my moat around my castle. So
yeah, there's something to that. I tend to be kind of the bite the bullet type of guy with these types of things. It's like, well, it might not be the most strategically advantageous, but at least I know it's all said and done, and I don't have to think about it anymore.
Well, and here's the other thing you need to remember. If you take out the loan and then you're no longer working at the place and you go to move your 401k and you have a loan against it, you have to pay that back before you can move the 401k, or it's considered a premature distribution.
It's a good point, Mark. And even as we're talking about it, I'm even thinking, okay, the thought in my mind, would I really want to go into that amount of debt, even though it's debt to myself? Like you said, you're kind of handcuffing yourself to, okay, you have to stay at that job, or else it's basically an early withdrawal anyway, right? So maybe the early withdrawal. Well, you can always
leave your 401k behind if you leave a company, but unless it
will feel sad. It will be lonely.
So and also, I never feel comfortable about leaving money behind at a company that I'm leaving. You might be leaving on good terms, but if you're fired or downsized, there's a reason they're downsizing. Granted, the 401k is protected and separate money, but it never feels right. I guess that's the best way to say it.
Yeah. Good point, Mark. 610-363-1110. Mark, I think we got time to squeeze Al in from Florida. Let's get to Al.
All right. Al, welcome to the show. Glad you're with us. What's on your mind this morning?
How you doing?
I'm good.
First of all, comment
Thanks
as
for
far
asking.
as the art. Right. Good. As far as oil prices and Trump and the war, I mean, I think, like you were saying, it's just a small price to pay, for safety, in the long run. I think he's doing the right thing. But my question is, the other day you were talking on the show about the top 10 picks we can find in Timothy Plan Holdings, of a mutual fund. And as I was doing this, my first question is, can that be like a double check with looking what they're investing in and what financial issues has as far as their buy list, and kind of, as an added incentive.
Are you asking, Al, like, is it okay to double dip a little bit? So maybe you have some of the funds that are in the Israeli fund, and they also happen to be on the buy list, and you're in it a little bit more heavily. Is that what you're asking?
Well, yeah. Like when I pick my separate stocks, I'm in the fund, the mutual fund I was looking at. So I thought I would go in there and just see the top 10 holdings, because I heard that idea on the show. Somebody called in about it or something. And I think
they wanted to do individual stocks, not mutual funds, and they didn't know where to begin. We mentioned the buy list that we have, but then if they want to also go into the Timothy plan, there may be stocks in there that we're not holding as well. So they could check that out. And when we say the top 10, that means the largest holdings in the mutual fund, not the best performing, obviously there's a good chance there's some of the better performing because they're larger portions, but it's not necessarily true at this point in time. It's just the largest holdings in there. So, to use the Timothy plan to say, okay, now we're going to use this to compare to financial issues to see if they're investing the same way. We're not exactly the same way. Timothy plan is made for more, we invest similarly, but not exactly the same way is the bottom line. They have their own managers that they use. We don't manage their funds for them, and they don't manage our buy, sells, or holds for us either. Did that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Awesome. Hey, Al, why don't we do this, brother? We're coming to the end of this break here. Why don't we hold you over and we can keep you into the next segment? Does that sound good? Can you stay with us?
Fine, thank you.
Awesome. Yep, that sounds good. Mark, why don't we hang on to Al and we can get back to him?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yep. 610-363-1110. Join the conversation. Join Al, Seth, Mark, and Sam. We'll talk to you in just a moment.
In the last 10 to 15 years being in ministry, being married, something that has been constant in our lives is Samaritan Ministries. As we've moved, we've had babies, we've had different things come up, we have just been able to rely on Samaritan in ways that we never really even thought about before becoming members.
Our heart's desire is to plant roots and be in a place for a really long time. It's how we were raised. We see the benefits of that, but we also see the open-handedness of being used by the Lord wherever He calls, because we just assumed when we started pursuing church planting, the quickest way to get from point A to point B is a straight line. And with the Lord, sometimes you find out it looks a lot more like this. And yet, Samaritan was with us through the entire thing.
We didn't have to look into, we have to change insurances now because we've moved states or whatever the case may be. And it's just been a real blessing to us in different phases of life.
I'm Kyle.
I'm Colleen.
We're the Gen X.
And we're Samaritan members.
I want to make a point. No matter what happens, I'll always be there for you.
I know.
Navigating through investment options can be challenging, especially when you're determined to uphold your God-given values. Every dollar you invest is a vote for the world that you want to live in. Let your values guide your investment decisions and help to shape the culture in which we live. Become a beacon of light and pave the way with biblically responsible investing. Timothy Plan, where faith and finance collide. Before investing, carefully consider the fund's investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the investment company. This and other important information can be found in the fund's prospectus. To obtain a copy, visit timothyplan.com or call 800-846-7526. Read each prospectus carefully before investing. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
It's great to be here with you all today, folks. We're having a great time on financial issues as always, and the phone lines are open, and you can call in 610-363-1110. Mark, we held Al over. Why don't we get back to Al from Florida, shall we?
Yeah. Hey, Al, before we went to the break, you were saying something about the Timothy plan, and you had a follow-up question. What was that?
Yeah, I was just back to the Timothy plan and financial issues. I was just kind of, maybe to simplify things, if I see a stock on financial issues that I'm interested in, and I just so happen to see it in the same mutual fund that I'm already invested in, it would be a good incentive if Timothy plan's investing in it and you guys recommend it. It'd be like a double incentive to say, yeah, it must be pretty good then, right?
I understand what you're saying. Absolutely. Yeah, that kind of makes sense to me too. I really respect the Timothy plan and their managers. They do a good job at being average or above average over the long term with their mutual funds, realizing that they're managing it very similar as we do, with the idea that they're looking for strong companies with a lot of potential. But right. Just remember, the information you're looking at on those sheets could be up to 3 months old too.
Yeah. Al, Mark is exactly right. If you actually were to look at the Israeli Common Values Fund, and Mark, this is a good learning moment here, I think, for everybody when we look at these fact sheets. There's a date in the top right corner, and it's with all their funds. I've got the Israeli Common Values Fund up right now. It's quarterly. So the last time that it was updated was December of last year. So we won't see another update until the end of this month. You will see, Al, if you look on those top 10 holdings, there's one that actually is, or I should probably better say was on our list that was just bought out recently. So it won't look quite as up to date until the next quarter comes about. So the end of this month, you'll see a new fact sheet and it'll be more updated with what that particular holding actually looks like. So Mark, that's a really good point that you made there.
Probably beginning of next month.
Yeah, probably beginning of next month. Yeah. Exactly.
So Al, thank you so much for your call. Really appreciate it. I think you're I think you're thinking straight.
Okay. So my next question was, when I was looking at the top 10 holdings, I saw Costco as one of the top 10 holdings with them. And I was noticing it wasn't on the buy list because I checked that and was wondering, is there a reason why? Now, it is $1,000 a share, so I think that could have been the reason, but...
Which fund list were you looking at?
I think it was It was a large Timothy Plan, large mid cap fund.
It was an ETF, right?
Oh man,
exchange traded fund. The reason I'm saying that is because the ETFs are more of like an index. They're like a clean index for large mid cap, and they only can get rebalanced every 6 months. So they may be on there even if they've gone dirty on evaluator. They can't get rid of it until they rebalance the index, is what it comes down to.
Exactly. And Al, I'm actually on one of the Timothy funds right now. I'm seeing exactly what you're seeing, and what Mark said is exactly right. It doesn't mean that the fund is dirty, Mark, if I'm understanding this. It means that we're in that delay time where once it gets rebalanced again, it will then get taken off.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful about that. You should go out to evaluator and make sure that it's clean, even if it's on the Timothy plan. If it's in the Timothy plan ETF, they can move faster within their mutual funds, but they can't move faster. They have to wait for how it was filed with the government. They have to wait for it to be seen as an index. And actually, I don't see Costco. Is Costco dirty still, or?
So, Mark,
I'm back on.
I'll let Sam speak to if it's clean or dirty, because I know we were having some questions about that. But I will say I do see it in the large mid cap growth, large mid cap growth mutual fund. So those ones get updated more recently. But again, Mark, like you said, we're in that period where we're waiting for the most up-to-date update, basically.
Right. As far as Costco goes, I don't believe I've ever seen it dirty on Evaluator. I've seen some questions about it elsewhere, so it might be on BRI Watch for us, but I've never seen it actually be officially deemed dirty by Evaluator.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Can I run one more thing by you? How do you I've talked to you guys about Walmart, and I've switched all my stocks and 401s away from them and into, a Roth, and everything's now with you guys, or Timothy plan. How do you my thoughts was going to Costco, because I know Walmart is not, you take away the stock purchase and the 401, and my incentive is knocked out by about 75%. I mean, they had a good company match. So now my incentive is not there. My reasoning is like, well, I can move on. And I was thinking of Costco because they are on the BRI list with Timothy plan. So how do you I mean, I guess it's a hard thing, as far as working.
How do we determine whether it's a buy or a sell or a hold?
No, how do I determine where to work?
Good question.
Was Walmart being not biblically responsible with what they invest in? I'm thinking, well, why do I even want to work there?
Mark, that's a great question that Al's asking here. Yeah, are you being a good steward of your time? Yeah. Sorry, Al.
I love your program. Al, I love your heart on this. When it comes to being a believer, the depth of your faith determines how far you take everything. What you believe determines what you'll do. And I love the idea, even if it's a little bit hard, that you're struggling with the idea, do I want to work for a company that compromises God's tenets of love? Well, Costco is clean, just so you know, so far. There's rumors and there's all sorts of things out there, but no proof yet. And we wait for evaluator to dig up the proof before we label something as dirty. Okay, so we just don't do it arbitrarily because some left-wing website said they backed them. We have to see proof that they actually put money towards it, or they did something internally, like a policy that's on their website that says they do these things. But until that happens, we give them the benefit of the doubt, the grace to continue to run. The idea that you're struggling with where to work because you want to honor God and all you do is probably, I'm going to just say this, probably one of the strongest testaments that I've heard since I've been on this show. I am so impressed with that because the depth of Christianity and faith in America right now is really shallow. Most people, it's as shallow as their ability to have self-restraint, as shallow as, and I'm not beating up on people, it's just where we're at in the world right now with the inundation of the programming that's going on from the media and everything else, and the number of churches that are that have been formed in the last 50, 60 years that refuse to even preach the gospel, much less that there's really is a hell and damnation. I am just so impressed, Al, that you brought this up that I can't let this go. I want everybody to hear this. This is what it means to love the Lord, to be a true steward. You're not only stewarding your investments, you're stewarding your life, which is His as well, which you surrendered to Him, which He bought with His blood. I think this is awesome. God bless you, sir. Thank you for that.
Absolutely. And Mark, if I could just ask a question as a clarifier, and Al, feel free to stay on the line for this as well. Is it then a sin, therefore, for Al to work at a place like Walmart that is not biblically responsible? What do you think?
That's an excellent question. There's so many verses that go back and forth. Taking it to that level instead of taking it to the other side where we're at, where I want to honor you in all I do. If it's wrong, if it goes against any of God's tenets of love, if it goes against God's word, and you believe it is the wrong thing to do, then it is sin for you. If, on the other hand, Jesus walked the Roman roads, Jesus ate with prostitutes and tax collectors, was he sinning? Even though the the Jewish law said he shouldn't do that? No, he wasn't, because his mission and what he was doing it for the right reasons. So we have to be very careful with labeling everything sin at this level. But it could be. It actually could be. I mean, is working for the mafia, if your family's starving, a sin? Some people would say absolutely. So we have to be very careful about that. Do we believe God will provide? Where is the faith? It really goes deep on this. What's your thoughts, Seth?
No, Mark, I think you're exactly right. I mean, I think there's a line between, let's say Al was asking, and Al, I'm not saying you are asking this, but let's say Al was asking, hey, I got a job at the local prostitution ring. I would probably say, okay, that's no matter how you slice it, that's sinful. But working at a company like Walmart, where you're not abandoning your conscience, you're not going against any of those tenets there, I think you're right, Mark. I think it's a conscience issue. I really do. Absolutely.
If they ask you to do something that compromises your belief of what God would have you do, then that might be where it crosses the line.
Exactly.
So thank you for loving the Lord. Thank you for caring so much about that, Al.
Here at Financial Issues, we believe in being faithful stewards of everything God has entrusted to us, and nothing is more important than investing in the next generation. Crossroads Kids Club is an after-school program that brings the gospel directly to elementary school children in public schools across the country. These aren't just programs, they're life-changing encounters that point children to Jesus and surround them with encouragement, mentorship, and biblical truth. If you feel called to be part of sharing the gospel with kids in public schools, visit reachourschools.com.
As a member of Samaritan Ministries, your monthly share is a gift that goes directly to a real person in need. While that share takes care of the financial portion of a need, medical needs are complex and include the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual aspects as well. While the financial gift is important, if we stop there, we miss an opportunity to minister to the whole need of our brother or sister. When you faithfully pray and send a note of encouragement and scripture along with your share, those words become a vessel of God's continued healing and blessing on the receiver. And the impact it has is immeasurable, bringing glory to God and provision and unity to His church. Glorify God with your health care. Send a note this month.
Did you know that an unborn baby's heart beats at an average of 120 times every minute? That steady rhythm, that precious sound, that's the sound of life. Preborn partners with local pregnancy clinics across the nation to help mothers choose life, providing free ultrasounds, counseling, and the gospel of Jesus Christ. To give, just dial pound 250 and say the keyword baby. That's pound 250 baby.
The opinions and recommendations expressed on this program do not necessarily represent the opinions of the station or any of the program sponsors. Additionally, all products or services offered by the program sponsors may not be known by the program.
Hey, folks, we'll get to you. We love getting to talk to you. So appreciate Al calling in there in that last segment. 610-363-1110. We'd love to talk to you. Mark, speaking of interesting topics here, there's some things going on with Norfolk Southern. We're trying to figure out what's happening here because we see coming down the track, pun intended, that there is in fact a merger with Union Pacific. So, Mark, what should we do as I hear that train a coming? It's rolling round the bed. Sorry, that's my Johnny Cash impression.
Not too bad.
What should we do?
You're wearing the wrong color,
I know,
for that.
I know.
Yeah.
Right. Probably not as handsome either. Sorry. Go ahead, Mark.
I think that railroads are vital for America still. They're not antiquated as of yet. Shipping still goes, oil goes on them, coal goes on them, all sorts, cars go on them. It's important. They're still major. But when you get a major merger like Norfolk and Union Pacific, what happens is that markets often begin pricing that in early. And that may be what's happening. I don't know. But I think the best way to say this would be to just continue on with the pun, the Johnny Cash pun that's there. And that's when you hear the train coming, it might be simply a reminder to evaluate whether you should stay on board. That's the bottom line. Sometimes the wise steward steps off at the next station and redeploys their capital elsewhere. And I'm thinking, why wait till it happens? If the markets have already priced in anything that's going to happen, sans any craziness going on with it, you might as well move on. I don't have any problems with that at all.
Absolutely. So if partners are wondering, Norfolk Southern, you see coming down the track is this merger with Union Pacific. They have the green light to sell if they feel like it's a good thing.
That didn't rhyme at all.
I know.
Johnny Cash
I'm not Johnny
much better
Cash,
than
Mark.
you did.
I know. That's what I said. He's a better songwriter, more handsome. What can I say? No, so if someone's listening and they hear this, are they okay to have the green light to sell if they feel like it?
Absolutely.
Right
Absolutely.
Cool. Okay.
And especially at this time with the markets pulling back like they have, it might be a good time to have some of that money just to ready to redeploy, that dry powder concept,
Yep, absolutely. Good.
Because
good
there could be all sorts of blue light specials coming down the road.
Yeah. Guys,
coming around the corner.
One of my favorite artists is Josh Turner, actually, and he does one called Long Black Train. It's amazing. Anyway, Johnny Cash, legend, absolutely. Good stuff, Mark. Well, hey, let's get to this question here as we jump off the track onto another train. JH,
how many train puns
we
does
can
he
do it
get
all day.
before
all day long. Before Sam,
I know they just keep rolling, don't they?
Oh my goodness!
Right, exactly. Well, I was trained well, as it were. Okay, that was the last one. JH is 59, Mark, and he says, I purchased the TBDIX. Should I do a dividend reinvestment with this? So, Mark, what should JH do here with this one?
The TBDIX. Here's a thought on that. Dividend reinvestment under different circumstances would make a difference. First, do you need the money? Do you need the income? If you don't, then why just have in a mutual fund, it's just easier to let them go back in. It doesn't change anything tax-wise. It doesn't affect anything any differently outside of it's less work and you don't have to think about it and it's automatic. So in a mutual fund, if you don't need the revenues to subsidize your income, if you're not using them for that or any other reason, then these are the two steps, the way I'd look at it. If it's a mutual fund, go ahead and reinvest it. If it's stock, not so much. One of the reasons I don't like reinvesting in my capital gains in a stock or having dividends go back into the stock is because you end up with fractional shares, and that affects your ability to sell as easily. I mean, it's not going to stop you, but if you want to sell a smaller portion and it's fractional, it just complicates things. Also, I like if there isn't a different direction, then I can buy rounded amounts of shares going forward. So it's always nice and easy to track, and no 0.061537 shares in the account type of thing. So bottom line, if it's a mutual fund, I'd go ahead and reinvest. If it's stock, I like it going in the money market and a high yield money market until I decide how I want to deploy it, whether back into the stock or into something else to give me a little more diversification.
Awesome. JH, great question, brother. Appreciate you. Madeline is 68, Mark, and she's saying, hey, Mark, and hi to Seth, Pat, Elijah, Sam, the rest of the team. Thank you for that, Madeline. Says,
I was thinking, I was near the end. I was getting nervous. She was going to forget me.
That was my fault. I actually misread it. That was not Madeline's fault. But she says, Mark, thank you for directing everything to God and honoring him, for taking a stand for the truth, for sharing your financial knowledge and wisdom. That's awesome, Madeline. Thank you. The question is this, Mark. In building our portfolio in the defensive funds, international funds, Israel fund, and large mid-cap growth funds, there are fees, and they have a minimum of $2,500. Should I still buy? What do you think? Madeline's 68.
Okay. I guess it depends where you're buying by. Some of them do have minimums on different platforms. That's true.
Fidelity.
The minimum, if those minimums fit comfortably into your asset allocation model, no issue with that. There are always fees when there's a manager involved. There has to be, because they have to pay the manager, they have to pay for all the research, they have to pay for all the things. There's no mutual fund or ETF that doesn't have fees, even if they say they don't have fees. There are fees. One way or another, they're getting paid. So you have to wonder, if they say they're zero fee or no fee fund, how do they get their money? Well, they get it on the transactions they do. They build it into the transaction of buying and selling within the fund to get those, or some other way. So there are always fees one way or another, because there's labor involved, and there are technologies involved that need to be paid for, and then there's profits to be made as well. So just remember that. So yeah, I think you're fine buying into them, actually. I don't have any issues with that. The returns that you normally see are after all expenses, so that you're good with that as well. If the size of the purchases are outside your asset allocation, then you might want to just get away from the mutual funds and go to the ETFs, which don't have as high a fee and usually have no minimums. You could buy a share or multiple shares of them.
And they are treated like an equity, Mark, so you sell and buy them right there,
Exactly,
nice.
Seth. And that's a really important point. I like that, yeah. So you don't have to wait to, you could wake up in the morning and the markets are going terrible, and you might say, you know what, I just want to move some things to cash, and you go to sell a mutual fund, but guess what? A mutual fund does not sell till the end of the day. And then they calculate the NAV on net asset value, and then it sells at whatever it was at the end of the day. The price of it at the end of the day, not when you wanted to sell it in the morning.
You're riding the roller coaster no matter what.
Exactly,
There's no getting off.
Yep.
But the ETF, the exchange traded fund, it sells like a stock. That's one of the benefits, along with the benefit of not so much capital gain issues like you have with mutual funds as well. So you might, it sounds like, really, Madeline, you might want to just look into the ETFs and start using those.
And Mark, I don't know if these would be potential options for her, but she's looking at the large mid-cap growth fund, maybe TPLC, that's the large mid-cap core ETF, or TPIF, the international ETF. Those could be alternative ETF options for her, definitely.
Absolutely, yeah. And I know she was looking at she was looking at the defensive fund as well.
Yeah, she was looking at the defensive fund. And we've even, Mark, we've kind of come up with a little makeshift ETF combo of FIS, TFIAX, and then just, bills, the BIL. So that could be an option for you,
it's not the same as and it's not actively managed like the Timothy plan would be, but you'd have to manage that. But it still would give you a very similar, I think, impact as that. So, So bottom line, Madeline, you can still buy these mutual funds, and if you have the cash to pay the upfront minimums, that's fine if it meets with your asset allocation. Either way, though, consider the ETFs as well. I think that's the direction most funds will be moving anyway.
Absolutely. Hey, Mark, before we sign off today, I didn't want to miss an opportunity to talk about this great opportunity we have with Crossroads Kids Club to give hilariously, doing the Easter card campaign. Hope our listeners will check them out at reachourschools.com. It's such an easy thing to do, Mark. I mean, it's so easy to just go there and
it
write
impacts
the
lives of children.
Yeah.
You have the opportunity to impact the lives of children today. And where do they go, Seth?
Yeah, it's reachourschools.com, folks. So you click on that. That website, Crossroads does such a good job of curating that. It's set up real easy to use. You have the information at the top, and then you scroll down, and there's the box that you can type your message in. There's options for you as well if you want to cover the $5 processing fee. If you want to make a donation to Crossroads Kids Club as well, you can do it right there securely. It's a great thing, Mark, and we're so proud to be partnered with Crossroads Kids Club. So it's reachourschools.com.
And of course, you can also just click the banner right on the financial issues homepage as well.
Yep.
And made it easy for you to get involved with spreading the gospel, which I know you love because you're watching Financial Issues, where we're all about honoring God in all aspects of our life, including our investments. So I want to thank you all for loving God and for investing with biblical integrity and for being with us today. Appreciate your calls and appreciate your comments, and I'm going to appreciate seeing you all again tomorrow. We'll see you real soon. If you have any questions, remember you can either email them or you can call in tomorrow, 610-363-1110. Write that down so you're ready in the morning. God bless.
If we ever forget that we're one nation under God, then we will be a nation gone under.
Thank you for joining us. This has been an FISM production.